Hey, welcome back to the show. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about Firearms Friday and why FEMA sucks, or just in general, FEMA sucks. And, tonight's show is kind of inspired a lot from conversations I had earlier with my sister. And I want to thank you, Bridget, very much for being there for me and really, kind of giving me a lot to think about today. And, this show kind of took a left turn at Albuquerque in the middle of the day because of the conversation with her. But yeah, we're going to talk about Firearms Friday. I got a good concealed carry option for all you folks out there that I think is going to be a real winner chicken dinner for a lot of you folks. So we're going to get into the Second Amendment, obviously, because that's what Fridays are for. And, FEMA sucks. So happy Friday, everybody. Grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair, man. We got a great show ahead of us tonight, and I think you guys are going to like it. So stick around. Here we go.
Break 'em on. This is America First Radio. Patriots, get your ears on because we're blowing the speakers out.
Lefty G. It is time for the Lefty G Show. The only show to get you right. Get ready to get right with Lefty. Your voice taking you down Freedom Road. Now, here's your host, Lefty G.
Let's hit the fucking road!
All right, happy Friday and welcome to the Lefty G Show. I appreciate everybody joining me here tonight. And again, happy Friday. Grab yourself your favorite beverage and let's get rolling on tonight's topic. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Firearms Friday, and we're going to be talking about why FEMA sucks, or actually just in general, FEMA sucks. So we're going to be talking about that. But here, let me wet my whistle here and let's get rolling on this Friday. Cilantro, cheers, salud, whatever the hell you guys do. There it is. All right, well, yeah, we got a lot we're going to talk about, and I know that some of the topics tonight are going to be maybe a little bit controversial. I know to a lot of the Libby Loo-hoos, you're going to be swallowing your tongues, about what I'm about to say. But I think both topics are kind of pertinent to what we want to do. I want to kind of keep Fridays as a way to kind of present our Second Amendment and talk about that, because I really believe the Second Amendment is just that, our second most important amendment. But I do think it supports our First Amendment, which gives me the right to blather around on this microphone as I'm doing right now. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which, as we know, the Democrats want to take away from us. So that's why I think these Friday firearm talks are going to be very important moving forward. And I got a great little sidearm for concealed carry, one of my favorites, a personal weapon of mine that I want to present to each and every one of you, because I really think whether you're a novice or whether you're an expert shooter, I think you're going to agree on some of the points I'm going to make of why I think this is a damn good gun to carry for your own personal protection, specifically in a concealed carry type of manner. But we're going to save that. We're going to save that one, because I'm going to do a little bit of Quentin Tarantino on you folks, and I'm going to start with the end. And we're going to start the show with FEMA sucks, and they really do. And let me say this, if you guys remember, going all the way back to Hurricane Katrina that happened in Louisiana, New Orleans specifically, I can say I learned right at that point that I trust FEMA about as much as I trust gas station sushi. Okay, I mean, that's just the bottom line. And if you look at what's happening right now, Kamala Harris's, or Camel Toe Harris's FEMA, what they're doing, and this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting what's happening in North Carolina right now. They're actively blocking aid shipments to North Carolina and all of its storm survivors. In my opinion, my simple opinion right now, this is an impeachable offense. This conduct that is unbecoming of a vice president is an impeachable thing to do. I think she has to be thrown out on her fucking girdle for what she's doing. She's having her attack dogs in FEMA resist giving the aid to North Carolina storm victims. And these are people right now that don't have the basics. They don't have streets and sanitary. Their streets are closed. People are on horseback. They don't have running water. They don't have water for consumption. They don't have proper ways to get nourishment and food. And so the aid that's coming in, FEMA is blocking. They're storing it for themselves. And this was something that Elon Musk and his SpaceX program, and thank God for them, they were the first ones that started talking about it. Otherwise, I'm not so sure we really would have gotten the full story, because you can't trust FEMA. You can't. As I said, gas station sushi, folks. And fuck you, FEMA, for being the cretins that you guys are. And here's what I mean by that. FEMA right now is sabotaging rescue efforts while literally lives hang in the balance. American lives are hanging in the balance due to an act of God, due to something that was completely out of their control. Nobody lit a fire, or nobody, there wasn't some, crazy Haji that blew themselves up. This was literally a hurricane in North Carolina. There's nothing anybody could have done about it. And these people are victims of literally a circumstance. And you have this terrible organization as FEMA, these attack dogs for this prick Mayorga and the Camel Toe Harris are going to actively block aid. They're sabotaging rescue efforts while literally these lives hang in the balance. And this is just another form of government overreach, folks, that we've talked about. But this one is probably in my opinion, currently the worst, but pretty despicable because it's directly against its own American citizenry, victims of a terrible hurricane. And it's about time for a Department of Government Efficiency and Accountability. And, are we going to get that anytime soon? No. Because, look at it. As we've talked about here on the show plenty of times, we've talked about what? Open border policies. That's why we got all these, illegal scumbags rolling over the border. And these illegal pukes do tie into this. And it kind of ties back to a little bit what I spoke about in the show last night when we referred to the financial burden that is incurred when you let these 8 million, illegals into your country because, you got to house them, you got to feed them, you got to do something with them. And so we're going to get into that here in a little bit and talk about the burden. And look what it's doing. You're actively hurting and harming people that are victims already. And it was funny because one of the statements that was made in reference to it was, Elon Musk, right? Everybody knows him, the billionaire, really the only guy you can really refer to, I would say, is a very affluent African-American, being from South Africa. I'm kidding. But billionaire Elon Musk and some SpaceX engineer in North Carolina claimed that FEMA, this was earlier today, this is what kind of broke, that the FEMA agency is actively blocking shipments and seizing goods and services locally and keeping the supplies as their own. That's disgusting. That a well-organized and funded organization like FEMA would literally take the aid for themselves and lock it up, keep it away from the people that really need it. And also there was another alleged piece that was made by Elon Musk where he said that FEMA is failing to adequately help people that are literally in need. I mean, this is what it is. They're failing to adequately help people, as well as we already know, they're blocking citizens to try to offer assistance. Now let me break this down because when I first read, I had to read that a couple of times. So what you have is you have this loser organization in FEMA that comes in as Mayorka's and Camel Toe Harris's attack dog, and they present themselves in North Carolina to block aid, and then they block people from helping other people. I mean, imagine what's happening down there if you're Joe and Jane Public and you just watch your entire house get washed away, right? There are no roads. People are riding on horseback because roads are inaccessible. Obviously, with vehicles, maybe you can't get any gas. Maybe the gas stations are obviously shut down. You have no streets and sanitation. You have no running water. And could you imagine, and this is why I think it's important, folks, to talk a little bit about the Second Amendment tonight, because you have an organization, a government organization, that is preventing the health and welfare of its own citizenry, of American citizens, from helping other citizens, while at the same time preventing the aid from getting to the citizens. This is madness. This is absolute madness. And to call it government overreach is probably a gross misstatement. Really, here's the thing, and this is why I'm going to say that I think the Second Amendment is extremely important, because if I was walking around and my children were suffering, they were thirsty, and I couldn't get what they needed because some government regulatory thing was going to prevent it, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith weren't able to help me because they were being stopped. Yeah, I think a few of those people might be breathing out of an extra hole in their fucking head. And it would be just that simple. Because this is what I mean. This is why I think it's empirically important for us to really kind of marry the two situations together today. Both the FEMA fiasco that's going on in North Carolina, as well as your right to bear arms. All right, so and we're going to get into that, but here's the sad part that really binds all this and ties all this together. The storm's death toll, as of yesterday, as of Thursday, was 215 people, 215 souls that are gone. And these are relatives of people, friends of people. These are quite possibly the people that are being prevented from getting any fucking aid, or people that are being prevented by other people from getting fucking aid. They've lost 215 of their fellow countrymen, the fellow people, 215 people with flooding that is washing out roads and cutting off entire communities that lack electricity, water, cell services. I mean, these people are out left in a lurch, and you have FEMA that is preventing the goods and services, the aid from getting to these people. And then FEMA is further preventing other people, Joe and Jane Public, from helping Joe and Jane Public. Something has got to be rationalized here, and somebody has to pay for this. And here's the kicker. This is the one that really slayed me. And you've heard me talk about this prick before, but this Majorca cunt, he warns, he makes a big statement about it, big press conference. He warns that FEMA lacks the funding for hurricane cleanup after agencies spent over $1 billion on migrants. And let me break that whole sentence down that this piece of shit Majorca uttered. First of all, we all know from a previous show, and we talked about it, referencing what's happening in Chicago with the Venezuela gangs, is that Chicago alone has spent $500 million on 42,000 migrants. We've already talked about this. Go back and listen to the show. You'll see what I'm talking about. Chicago is a powder keg right now. But just the city has spent $500 million on 42,000 migrants. The city, not the county, not the state, not the country. So when this Mayorkas gets up there and he spews more bullshit that they don't have any money, that they lack the funding for hurricane cleanup after the agency spent over $1 billion on migrants. FEMA, a federal national-wide organization that is dealing with migrants in every city, by the way, every single one of these so-called sanctuary fucking cities, whatever the hell that means. I don't think it's $1 billion. I think it's a lot more than that. I think that they're hiding some shekels on us when they talk like that, because of Chicago, just one city in 2 years could spend $500 million on 42,000 migrants. I don't think it's $1 billion, folks. I think it's a ton of money, way more than that. And I think it's just a matter of just, hiding the truth. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And I think that's what's happening with this Mayorkas prick. And as far as migrants go, I want to touch on that. When he talks about that, again, he warns that FEMA lacks the funding for hurricane cleanup after the agency spent over $1 billion on migrants. Migrants. What are we talking about? Fucking ducks? Geese? Migrating? They're not migrants. And this is why words matter. These people are not migrants. They're illegal fucking aliens. They're illegal people that shouldn't be here. Hey, Camelto Harris, Mayorkas, what part of illegal do you two assholes not understand? You gave all that money away to help a bunch of illegals that are going to come here that have already proven to destroy our culture. They don't give a shit about our borders. Financially, they're breaking a lot of these so-called cities. They're already broke in the first place. Because you've got to remember, places like Newark, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Detroit, wherever these sanctuary shitholes are that you're calling them, they were already broke in the first place. Why were they broke? Because they were run by dummy craps. Because they're Democrat fucking hellholes. So they were broke shitholes to begin with. And now you just bring a bunch of illegals in there, and like what's happening in Chicago right now, it's a powder keg. So they were already in trouble. But come on, migrants. You're going to call them migrants? They're migrating. They're not, unless they're ducks. They're illegal fucking aliens. And this is something that I want to address, but this is why words matter. And I want to give you guys an example. Let me kind of walk backwards in time here a little bit and give you guys a little bit of what my thought is. Think about in World War II in Germany. Think about later when we had to describe at the Nuremberg trials, or even describe it during wartime. There was a grave difference between your standard German and a Nazi. Words matter. Could you imagine if we referenced every single Nazi as a German and lumped them all into the same thing? Or, if we tried to, sweeten the terminology a little bit, as these Democrats, these shysters like to do, then it wouldn't have the same effect, right? It wouldn't have the same effect if we just referenced every single German as a German and didn't reference any of the Nazis that committed all the atrocities. So I think we got to stop calling them migrants. Yeah, okay, maybe they in a geographical location point, they went from place to place, but they're illegals. They came over here illegally. And, going back to these sanctuary cities, going back to, the funding that was lost, because FEMA blew all the money. I'm going to say this. I don't remember there ever being a referendum, and I've said this before. I don't remember there ever being a referendum or anything that I voted on that said that my hard-earned money and my tax dollars could go to a bunch of illegal aliens at the behest of my American citizens, my American brothers and sisters. What part of that did I ever vote on? Did you ever vote on? Did you? Did you ever see any legislation on that? No, because it didn't exist. This was rammed down our throats. This was literally rammed down our throats by the Democrats. End of story. Period. They blocked all these other legislation. Go back to yesterday's show, and I think I did a fairly good job laying it out. Go back and look at everything. Go back and listen to the show about Chicago. What's happening in Chicago right now? That's a fucking powder keg. This is all because they want this arrest. Democrats need chaos. They want chaos and madness. That's the only way. That's the only way they can justify their existence. And this is a symptom of people falling asleep at the wheel. You and I have fallen asleep at the wheel, and we've allowed this to happen. We've allowed our big screen TVs and our Sunday football and our recliners, and we've allowed all of this to occur. And we didn't realize, there's a big difference between what I'd like to say is knowing something is happening and realizing it's happening. There's a cavernous difference between the two. And when you know something is happening, you can say, yeah, I know the border's a problem. Yeah, I know that this is not probably a good thing. But now let's realize what it's done socially, fiscally, economically, across the board, environmentally to our literally our places that we live. Let's look, now we're realizing what's going on. So, and I think it's we got to remember who is the culprit of all of this. Do you guys remember when that big, long train of losers, those illegal losers that were wandering north for all those hundreds of thousands of miles coming up through, some shit box in South America through Mexico, and they're on their way to, the United States, and you look around and they got nothing but water bottles and full backpacks and cell phones. Yeah, who was charging their cell phones on their long meander up here from, some South American hellhole? Where were they? Where are these cell phones being charged from? Who was giving I got to be honest with you. We got to understand that there are enemies within. I've talked about it in yesterday's show, and I'm sure I've mentioned it in others. We have enemies within, and those enemies within are far worse than China and Russia and Al Qaeda and any of these other groups that have been against us. But that's my point on that. Words matter, and Mayorkas, fuck you. Words matter. They're illegal aliens that shouldn't be here. You ought to know the difference between legal and illegal, and they shouldn't be here. But you know what? You and your dummy crap boss, Camel Toe Harris. You guys are the reason for this. The buck stops with you two. And for you to get up there, and how dare you get up there and say that FEMA lacks the funding for hurricane cleanup because, they spent all the money on a billion, which, you spent $1 billion on migrants. That number is a lot more than $1 billion, Jagoff. That's a lot more. I mean, again, Chicago in 2 years on 42,000 migrants spent $500 million. The city. Not the county, not the state. I'll say it before, not the country. FEMA, across the board, federally, you're going to tell me it was just $1 billion? Yeah, fuck you. So that's kind of where what's happening right now in North Carolina. And here's the thing. FEMA, how dare you? And how dare this current administration? Look, I'm a constitutionalist. It's we the people. And part of that means, we're going to defend ourselves. We're going to talk about a great, Second Amendment little concealed carry pistol or, revolver I want to show you guys here a little bit, why I think it would be the best one. But what about we the people, which also means taking care of our own? What about all the people in West Virginia and Appalachia, those poor people? What about all of our homeless veterans that are sleeping under bridges right now? What about all of the people that are suffering in North Carolina? What about them? What about our Americans that pay taxes, get up every day, and help build infrastructures? And let me tell you something. You Democrats are really going to have your chickens come home to roost, because everything you guys have done, everything that the first 100 hours that Sleepy Joe, retarded, demented fuck have done to lessen our country by opening up the borders like a $2 whore on discount night, it's on you. It's going to be on you come November 4th, and I hope it's on you from the local governments, from the judges, from the gubernatorial races to mayors. I hope that this hits you really hard, and this is what illegal immigration has done. And you've diminished the admiration of immigrants that have come here under due process, that have come here legally. And, shame on you for taking that and robbing them inadvertently at the same breath of those people that came over here with an earnest, good attitude to be able to do good things. Because, you want a new voting populace. You want a serfdom class that is going to be servile to you. Because let me paint something out here. You Democrats, you guys here in this country were the authors of slavery. The Democrats were the ones that brought it in. The Republicans, Abraham Lincoln, were the ones that got rid of it. And all you Democrats are doing is looking for a new servile group of people to enslave. Sure, over the years with the African Americans and the Hispanics, maybe they weren't in chains and shackles. But it was a different form of slavery via welfare, via these benefit programs. And there's no such thing as a government program. Not once is there a government program. It's a taxpayer program that you government pricks use your left hand to pull out of my right pocket and use your right hand to wipe the ass of people that don't deserve it. That's what it is. And you know what? I don't ever remember saying it was okay. And let's forget, we shot people in this country at one time for a 3% T-tax. All right? We're now getting taxed to the tune of what? Close to 48% on the dollar, almost half of our money after all of your tax refunds and rebates and everything you get on it, child tax credits and all this kind of stuff. But you're still getting mollywomped for like 48%. Again, I can't wait to really talk about and have everybody fall in love with the Second Amendment. And before I forget, Mayorkas, fuck you. So this is what's happening right now in North Carolina, and I think it's a shame. When the agency FEMA comes out, and of course their spokesperson, this Mayorkas prick, he says that they're meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. What an insulting thing to say. And he goes on to say that we are expecting another hurricane hitting, and this Mayorkas has the way to say, well, FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season. You literally just told those people, all of those people in North Carolina, and beyond that, the Americans, to suck it. And I want every American, whatever side of the fence you present yourself on, whether you're conservative, a liberal, whatever it is, understand that this is happening because of the Democrats. This is happening because of the current administration. And this is who was voted in. And this is why I talk heavily about why elections matter, why elections have consequences. And this is going to be something that I want people to remember. And I'm going to keep pounding it home. For as long as you guys will have me behind a little store-bought microphone, and as long as you guys will have me kind of talking like this, I'm never going to shut up. I'm never going to do it. This is our First Amendment right to be able to speak. And let's not forget something else here, too. Let's go back in time here before I get on to why everybody needs to have concealed carry. Let's not forget COVID. Let's go back to that and what a disastrous Democrat created fucking thing. And now even you got Fauci coming back out and saying, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I was a little wrong. But remember this. They took away many of our civil liberties, our right to assemble. Remember, you couldn't go to bars and restaurants anymore. Unless, of course, you went to a restaurant and you were able to sit down without a mask. But when you stood up, you had to have a mask. Like somehow COVID was just maybe, 20 inches above your salt shakers on your table. Fucking retarded. And forget about the fact that the tables were generally only about 4 feet wide and you should have stayed 6 feet apart. And they put all the elderly people in the homes and they killed all of them. And they took away our right to assemble because you couldn't even go to church anymore. That was all by design. That was all by design. That was all the Democrats. That was every single Democrat. And these are the people that are now preventing people in North Carolina from getting aid. These evil, godless sons of bitches. That's all they are. This is what we're up against right now, and this is what we're dealing with. And and speaking of COVID, let me just kind of brush this one aside after I make this statement. Look around at your neighbors that may have yelled at you for not having a mask on, or look at your neighbors that may have given you a sideways look when you had some friends over during COVID in your backyard. Maybe you're having a couple of sarsaparillas with them over a bonfire, and then then you know who would have put you in the train if some type of, event happened, and you were off to the concentration camp. Now you know. And trust me, I made a mental note of a lot of the people that I thought were my friends that turned out to be real egregious pricks because they had a little sniff up the skirt of power. And this is but again, this is what the Democrats want. But going back to the servantile class that they're doing right now, make no bones about it. These illegal immigrants, they're not migrants, they're not ducks, nobody's migrating anywhere. These illegal losers are being ejected from their country of origin. Venezuela emptied out their prisons, and these people are coming here because nobody else fucking wants them. Their own countries don't want them. And yeah, they're coming here because they do understand. They may be ignorant, but they're not stupid. They're coming here because they want the freedoms that we have. They want the luxuries that we have. But they're not going to assimilate. They want to turn this as quick as cops as robbers, as saints as sinners. They want to turn this place into the hellhole that they just fucking came from. And you want to know something? That's unacceptable. That is literally unacceptable. This country was founded on the premise that we didn't ask or we didn't write King George a letter on our Declaration of Independence and say we want to be independent. No, we shot the fucking redcoats. We shot the British. End of story. That's how we did it. Yeah, we expressed ourselves, freedom to assemble and freedom of speech first. And when King George didn't like it, we shot him. And, we protected our borders again in 1812 and so on and so forth after that. So this is really nothing new. This is just a group of tyrants trying to suppress a group of people. And here's something else I want to say. This new servitile voting class the Democrats want to bring in, all these illegal aliens. These, so-called migrants. What are they, ducks? Again, I fucking hate that word. Words matter. But these illegal aliens that are coming in, that's all they want. They want a voting class, a servitile, enslaved voting class, because they know that the Hispanics in this country, the Hispanic Americans, the African Americans in this country, they're waking up. They're waking up to the fact that, they've been duped. They've been duped. All the ghettos, all the everywhere, and you keep voting in these Democrats, year after year, you keep cycling them in and nothing happens. The prisons are filled. And by the way, Kamala Harris was a leading prosecutor for incarcerating black males. So get that through your heads. Understand this right now, that this broad is not for you. And if you don't know that, look at the borders. And over 8 million of these illegal losers are coming in and sucking off the tit and taking the resources and taking everything from our communities that need it. But this is all this is. You're all being displaced. The previous enslaved class, which was enslaved by the Democrats, is a different type of slavery. The welfare programs, the economic benefit packages, and all that kind of stuff is just meant to keep you voting blue because they want you stupid. They don't want you well informed. And that's what they want. So you know what? They couldn't get it with you because you started to wake up. You started to move over. The African-American GOPs started popping up. And next thing you know, yeah, they're not going to really, they don't dig that so much. Let's open up the borders. Let's open up the borders like a $2 whore on discount night, and let's get as many of these half-wit illegal losers in here, and, let's get them voting for us. Because you know what? It's like the old saying goes, all those that have power are afraid to lose it. And that's all they are. They're inward-thinking, selfish pricks that just want to be tyrants. And that's why I think the Second Amendment is why we need to have that discussion here a little bit later. But yeah, that's what's going on right now, folks. That's what I wanted to lead with, is that's what's happening right now. And like I said before, fuck you, FEMA. Fuck you, Mayorkas. And, it goes all the way up to his boss. Fuck you, Camel Toe Harris. And I hope you lose and lose big in this election. And, I know you will, because I have a feeling that even some people, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm not going to get into, that's for another show. But we all know that she's a loser. We all know that, she was bounced out in the second round of the 2016 or the 2020 Democrat presidential election process. We also know that she left with less than 2% of the delegates. Nobody fucking likes her. Nobody likes her at all. So that's what this is about here, folks. And, God bless all you people in North Carolina. They're going through some terrible times. And, I hope like hell that, we don't have another hurricane coming. And I hope that somehow, some way we can, get you that aid that you need. And somewhere we can stop FEMA from preventing the good people, trying to help other good people. And maybe they understand that they got to get that aid out to those people that are suffering right now. Shame on you guys. Majorca, FEMA, shame on you guys. Shame on you guys. And I hope you get what's coming to you. I really do. But now let's switch gears here, and let's talk about let's get into Firearms Friday. This is a portion of the show that I hope to continue on. I've got a lot of personal collection of firearms I'd like to share with you, and my thoughts on them, and why I like them, and And this is why I want to present Firearms Friday to you. And yes, for all of you, blue-haired Libby Lou who's out there sucking on some kind of soybean fucking latte disgusting drink wearing your skinny jeans, yes, this is an educational piece. So before I get some weird strike on YouTube or something like that, this is an educational piece about, a 38 snub-nose revolver. That's all it is. It's not anything else. So, but while you guys are having some fits over the fact that I'm showing something other than a tennis racket or a dildo on the show, please. So revolvers, that's what I'm going to talk about here. A 38 snub-nose revolver can be a really good option for concealed carry. It's my personal preference for concealed carry because they're easy to conceal, they're comfortable, and they're absolutely reliable. And I'm going to get into that. So let's get into this real quick. So one of the things I like about them is they're intrinsically safe. A lot of times, people will choose these, Glock 13s or these smaller type of semi-automatic pistols, and under duress or under some situation where you're going to need to have to defend yourself, you may have that thing, front concealed, where you go to pull that thing out, and maybe you don't have good trigger discipline. Now, trigger discipline is where you don't have your finger hooked on the trigger per se, but you've got it laced over the top of the trigger guard per se. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But they go to pull that out, and next thing you know, you shoot your prick off or your toe or something like that. And so revolvers, because of their heavy trigger pull, are intrinsically safe in that matter for once. But let me go back to the actual physical nature of them. So this right here is my particular personal gun. Now this is a Taurus. This is a Taurus 856. It's a 38 special, and no, it's not loaded. There we go. All good. And this is my personal concealed carry piece, and I'll get into why I prefer that over others. First, it's compact size, and this is most of your 3-inch barrel snub-nose revolvers. Revolvers, which are designed for concealed carry, are usually compact with short barrels, making them easy to carry in pockets and waistbands and ankle holsters and whatever else you want. But the most important thing about having this is that under duress, when you've got a tight grip strength and all those kinds of things, you've got quick target acquisition, as I like to call it, where revolvers, with their short barrels and compact design, it allows for quick target acquisition and easy maneuverability in tight spaces. Now, if you think about it, if you look at reports that come in, if you look at police reports, incident reports, you look at reports that are issued by the National Rifle Association and other concealed carry, the right to bear arms groups and things like that. Most situations where you have to defend yourself in a concealed carry matter are between 3 feet and 18 inches. So it's very close quarters. Many times it's a hand-to-hand tussle is what's happening with these things. So when you talk about, you're in a convenience store and there's, 7 or 8 people in there buying beer and, dirty magazines, you need to be able to have quick target acquisition, and you need to be able to do that under duress where maybe you're not realizing your grip strength. Maybe you're not realizing certain things. And the other thing about revolvers, a revolver like this, and you're going to hear me reference different. When I say pistol, folks, I'm talking about semi-automatic, your Glocks and your 1911s and things like that with the slide action on the top, and a revolver wheel gun, all right, spins. So revolvers are reliable. Revolvers are known for their reliability in real world situations. I mean, think about it this way, going all the way back to like 1820, from the cowboys and Indians to the Wild West to World War I, and even up to the mid-90s when municipal police departments and state troopers carried that old Smith & Wesson 6-shooter, that old 38 special and 9 millimeters. So I can definitely say that they stood the test of time. And a lot of people will think that a revolver is antiquated. They're not. They're a lot of these revolvers now in .357, you can get those things up to 8 in the wheel. This one particular here, this 38 special, is a 6-cylinder. But you know what? I don't need more. Myself personally, I don't need more than one shot. I'll put you down with one. I don't need that many. But I think the other thing why I think they're a good gun, a revolver is a good gun for people that are either novices or maybe more experienced shooters, all the way up to your expert shooters. They're low maintenance. They're very forgiving. Revolvers are straightforward to clean and care for because they don't have the magazines and the springs or the other integral parts of a semi-automatic type of firearm. And again, I'm not here knocking your Glocks or your Barretts. I'm not doing that. I'm not knocking any of those. I'm just saying my one man's opinion here, my personal opinion, and I'm going to expound on this here a little bit more here in a minute. And again, a lot of this is I'm not here to debate anyone. I'm here to simply just put it out there that my personal opinion for Joe and Jane Public is revolvers, and that's what I'm trying to explain here. Revolvers, in comparison to the pistols out there, the semi-automatic pistols, have fewer moving parts. Revolvers have, they don't have the parts that can malfunction, and they're easier to maintain. You also have what they call a double action revolver. This particular weapon here, this Taurus 856, is a double action. This right here, if I were to do this is a single action, meaning, there's my trigger discipline here. Everything is locked back in. Again, this is not loaded. I'm going to dry fire it right now for educational purposes. And so this is in the single action mode. So if I have to come to ready and I've got a little bit of time to present myself and make sure that I've got proper target acquisition, I can put the hammer back in here, and that's single action. And I can go ahead and I can fire that. But double action, if I have to so come out and I gotta turn this into a smoke wagon really quick, I can simply do that. Now, you don't want to sit there and dry fire your weapon. That's not very good for it. But I will say that that's some of the things. And again, with the long, heavy trigger pull of a double-action revolver, it provides its own inherent safety. If you go to yank this thing out of your front holster or side holster or back holster, wherever you have this thing concealed carry under a situation of duress, you're not going to, blow your nuts off or your toe or anything like that. So I would highly recommend a revolver, something like a 38 or a 357. And some of the newer revolvers, this is a bit of an older gun here, but some of the newer 38 specials, 38 SP or something like that, will also carry 357 rounds. So, you can have one gun with two separate rounds. This one here particularly is just 38, and that's enough. So, but let me get into a personal thing that I have with the Second Amendment here. And I'm looking at the chats here, and Meg, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We need to talk about fun politics on Fridays. Yeah, and I'll get there. I'm a little bit moody right now, but how about this? Hey, cilantro, salute, all that. Here, cheers. Let's have one with me. Good stuff, good stuff. Happy Friday, everybody. But let me get into some personal stuff here that I have on the Second Amendment that I want to address here real quick. They've always said that having concealed carry and having the right to bear arms is for our probably one of our most precious groups of people, our women, is the great equalizer. And I think on another show, I'll talk about some things that I was involved with years ago as far as, helping women in self-defense situations and things like that I think is important. But I think if you're a woman out there and you don't have your FOID card, get it. If you're a woman out there and you don't have your concealed carry, get it. If you're a woman out there and you don't have some weapon to present and defend yourself with, some pistol, some revolver, get it. This particular model here, this Taurus 856, you can find these things now for around $300 to $350. And I think it's very important that you do so. So I think it's important that you should do that. So just please remember that in the future, because I think it's very important to make sure that you're. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, but I think it's for women. It's far more the ability to be able to defend yourself. It's a great equalizer. If you're a 120-pound woman and you've got some 300-pound dude, it's a great equalizer. It's going to help you, get yourself out of a bad situation if you need it. And like I said, my dad used to say, don't ever put yourself in a situation you can't back out of gracefully. So even if you don't ever even have to fire your weapon, presenting that thing is enough to probably make the bad guy go in the other direction. So that's everything I wanted to talk about here tonight on Firearms Friday, and FEMA sucks. So I want to thank you all very much for a wonderful evening, and happy Friday to you guys. And we'll see you again next week. But before then, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to get more content with this. And I'll be back. Remember, peace through strength. Love you. Good night.